Hi, this is János, it's Reward Audio, and today I'm talking about room acoustics, and this is about Hugo's comment. He wrote 5 days ago a wonderful comment, and I like to talk about that because I always say that room acoustics is the most important part, but what I mean under that is just take care of it as much as you can and use your room, and don't just go for a hypothetical room, like what could be. No, just take your room where your stereo is and get the most out of it. And how you can get the most out of it is actually means very different things for different people. You can take two paths on how you make your room into an audio environment. You either go that way that you like read a couple audio engineering books and just build a listening room for yourself from bare ground, just from ground up, something, and just essentially make it like a highly treated recording studio equivalent listening space. And then it will have an acoustics that is comparable to a very well put together recording studio, and then it will give you a sonic experience that will represent what a recording engineer would hear in his recording studio. Will give you something like that. And I'm not telling you whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a fantastic thing, but do you want that or not? And my answer for that, if you love studio recordings, you love how things sound in a studio, like you get a band and they do their recording in a studio and just like have it sound exactly like that, or exactly, because you can't make it sound exactly like that because where the microphones are placed are not where your ears are placed. So that's why it never can sound exactly like the recording, because how the microphones pick up the image of the space is very different from how your ears pick it up. And sometimes one person, a recording engineer, might put the microphones in such a way that for his subjective perception, when he sits in a specific listening spot, it will give him a very, very close experience to how it sounded when he sits down there in that spot when they are doing the recordings. But you get like 10 different people and they will give you 10 different answers for the exact same scenario. They will be most people who actually have no experience listening. Probably they will say, it sounds exactly the same, but there will be some people who say, pretty close, and there will be others who will say like, nah, it sounded quite different, like the tonal balance was quite still different, and I noticed that it's not the same as how those guys sounded live. So even like that kind of thing, that I want to hear what the recording engineer heard, it's a totally moot issue, and it's a mental masturbation. It has no relevance whatsoever to any of us, because number one, the way the recording engineer hears, how his hearing is, how his brain has been trained, what to pick up, what to listen to, how to calibrate the recording process is very different, guaranteed very different from how you perceive the sound. So that's why you will never hear what the recording engineer did unless you go and train with that recording engineer, and he instructs you, and it will take like a decade for you to learn how he hears. So he trains you to hear what he hears. But if you already have compromised hearing, or you don't have the awareness or the keenness, or you cannot learn what he is teaching you, then you will never hear anything approximating what he is hearing. So that's why I love that the reviewers and all the audio world is talking about, oh, I'm hearing the same thing as the recording engineer hears. And I just, crack up and then just said like, cheers, another rooster for, just crowing around. Anyway, I just went for my cup of tea here. But don't think what I say, don't take it very seriously, because there are some guys who, whatever they hear about audio, they the knife opens in their pocket. I have to knife that guy, he said that. How could he say? And they blow a gasket. And that's because in audio there's a lot of eccentric people, and when eccentricity is coupled to money, as Pink Floyd is singing, so they have serious financial interest to sell whatever they are selling, then they get extremely angry when their sales are being questioned. So as I am not selling anything, I do not have products for sale, my livelihood is not dependent on audio, that's why I can speak my mind, and then that's how things go. And sorry, Hugo, I still haven't gotten around to answering your comment. And he says that, personally, I am of the school that the room is given and we have to work with it. And actually, that's why I'm saying too, that means it is first and foremost a living room and not a listening room. And that's the other path, because up to now I mostly describe that situation that when people think about building your space for listening, then it's like that artificial acoustics listening room, that it's like a man cave dedicated to stereo, and with a totally alien room acoustics on the inside that has nothing to do to any of the venues sound where people actually perform music, but it has to do all with the sound of studios, which have a very artificial sound to make it possible to control aspects of the sound for ease of manipulation for the recording process. So it's all about control and manipulation. So if we think about that your room acoustics is like clothing, then this way, when you build your listening room based on like studio specifications, or going that path, like turning it into that kind of room, then it's like using a straitjacket. You are controlling every feature, but it will feel very strange to be placed in that situation. And I always have that kind of feeling when I listen to such environments, that yes, there's an astonishing level of detail, hyper-realistic imaging, everything, a really big show, really high show, really fantastic. And if you haven't heard anything like that, try it. I recommend to everyone, look up for buddies who have listening rooms like that. They put in tons of effort and everything. I'm not dissing anyone who went that road. I think a lot of work involved. It will yield fantastic results, but as speaking of myself, and I think this is telling more of me than I'm telling about you or what you would prefer, that I found these rooms that I could not relax in them, could not relax into the music. They kept me in that audiophile hyperfocus mode, when your brain kicks into a higher frequency brainwave mode, so you can track the minute details better, and it helps to keep you focused there. And that's why I call it like a straitjacket, because you cannot relax, or at least I cannot relax in those listening rooms. It's like keeps me hyper alert. So if you have a problem that you are just falling asleep when you listen to music and you can't control it, then maybe this is your solution, because these room acoustics will keep you, these rooms will keep you more alert, and there's less chance of you falling asleep while listening to music. While for others, that might be your goal, that you want to fall asleep listening to your favorite music. I have lots of friends who want to do that, and that's their ultimate goal, just put on the music and just fall asleep. It happens to me as well. So or often I do the exact opposite, like waking up from sleeping like at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and then start playing music, and then I fall asleep like at 4 a.m. listening to the music at 3 a.m. Usually it happens like that. So let's see, I have branched off here and I think I'm losing my thread, so let's just go back and where I'm going back to is that Hugo described in his comment that he has observed that there was on a ship, on a yacht, which was made of solid teak wood, and everything on there was solid teak wood, and there was just a very, very basic stereo there, but it sounded surprisingly good. And it is his suspicion that it sounded so much better than it should ever sound because of the room acoustics created by the solid wood and the shape of the interior of the cabinet. And that's what I mean under taking care of your acoustic space. It doesn't have to be like you building the replica of a recording studio with all kind of acoustic panels and absorbing panels and whatnot, golden ratio or here whatnot, but just use whatever room you have, and in every case whatever room you have will be able to allow you to go to where you can go with your stereo, and it will be your that's your world. Basically your room around you is your world, and the stereo gear that you put is interacting with that world, and the most potent of the interactors is the world around you. And when we talk about varieties of living rooms, then there's commonalities and things that you can work out, and you can tremendously alter the sound of your living room by the choices that you have, like the rugs, or like what kind of windows you have, how you arrange the furniture, what are on the interior, how you place your stereo system. It will drastically alter the room acoustics. And also you have to optimize your stereo system to work with your room, to have the right tonal balance in your room, not in some kind of hypothetical measurement that the speakers or amplifiers arrived from the company, but how it exactly interacts with your room. It's because it's not like a one head fits all. No, your head has to fit your head the same way your audio system has to fit your room. And when you do that, when you take room acoustics seriously, it doesn't mean that you must build a recording studio for yourself, but to me It means that you work with your room and just make it so that your room and your loudspeakers are synergizing with each other, because there's always equipment synergy. And the equipment synergy is not just between individual components, like your source is synergizing with your interconnect, with your amplifier, and that's synergizing with your speaker cables and loudspeakers, but your audio system has to synergize with the room acoustics. And that's perhaps one of the key aspects of equipment synergy, is how your gear synergizes with the room. That's, I would say, that's the foundation of equipment synergy. And that's why there are no such answers like tube amplifiers are the best, or solid state is the best, or high current speakers are the best, or low current, high efficiency speakers are the best, because the speaker has to synergize with your room. And if it doesn't, then whatever hypothetical advantages it has, it won't work in your room. Or whatever disadvantages they have, if it has the right synergy with the right room, then those disadvantages will not be present in that room. But when you put it in the wrong room, then those disadvantages will spoil the experience. So I think that's it for now about room treatment, what I think of it. And thank you, Hugo, for your wonderful comment. And just something of a side note that I just thought about it, is that yachts, ships and boats are not alien to audiophile or high quality sound. I think many of you already know that the most famous amplifier of the world, the Ongaku, the Audionaut Ongaku, was designed for a yacht. So that's about it. Yachts and ships can have really excellent room acoustics. There can be a lot to be done with it, and I think personally, what I think is just, it's a fantastic idea to play around with very different rooms, very different ideas, and of course, whatever access you have for yourself, work with that. So that's why I have here in this room, I'm not in a forest, I'm in the cat's room upstairs, and I have downstairs my living room. So these two have very different room acoustics, but both of them, I look at them to synergize with the audio equipment that I have in the rooms. However, I have dreams, like for example, like having like a chapel or like a small church. The room acoustics there is just astonishing. And I heard audio system like a stereo in a church, and is just absolutely crazy. And I mean in a church, I don't mean like a average church that you have here in the United States, that like built of concrete, like a run-of-the-mill building, which is like just kind of like in a cafeteria. But I had the fortune to listen to music, to Bach's music from a stereo in a church that was built, when was it built? I don't even know when was it built, but it was a proper proper church built with those geometric concepts that they traditionally build these buildings. It was called the sacred geometry, and then the reason for that geometry was that it works specifically extremely well for sound, and the sound I heard there with just bare bones stereo system, just like those PVC interconnects, those PVC cables, nothing like bare bottom stuff, a three-way Sony loudspeaker, Sony CD player, and some, I don't know what kind of Technics amplifier. It wasn't even audiophile, just basic stuff. And the atmosphere it created rivaled hearing the top level system of audio note in a living room, in a room that was put together for listening and had room treatments and everything. So play around with ideas, and if you have the opportunity to have different rooms available for you, try it out and have fun with it. Bye bye.